Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Lent at Lunch. I'm Kathryn Whitaker. My guest today is Chika Anyanwu. We have a great discussion ahead. We're going to be talking about the joy of the single life, and Chika is just full of joy. You're going to love her. I'm coming to you live from my van because this is where we are right now. So let me get Chika on here, and then we will get started. So as always, if you have questions, feel free to put those down below, but it's going to be a great conversation. So let me get her on here, and we will get started. All right, here she comes. Hey, friend.
Hey, girl.
We made
I love the van.
it work. I'm in my van today. It is live. So
It's so good to see you.
good to see you too. Look at your hair. It matches your sweater. It looks amazing.
This is probably, I think, my favorite hair color. I got it done when I was in Nigeria, and it was like a mistake. I got my hair done. These girls did not do it well. And so then I got it done the day before I left, and they're like, well, the only hair color we have is turquoise or teal. And I was like, you don't know me. I love this. So
Well, I mean, you were rocking purple when I saw you last, but I'm kind of with you. I
yeah,
like it. You should keep it for a while.
I
It's
will.
beautiful.
I was able, because that particular color I was only able to find in Nigeria. So this is like a lighter version of it,
Okay.
but I'm loving it. So we're keeping it for a
I
while.
like it. I think you should. I wish I could rock that. Instead, I'm just covering up my gray. So
Ma'am, you can't.
um,
I think anyone, if you want a color,
that's
just do
fair.
the color.
That's fair. I like that advice. Hey, so I've been introducing everybody with things that I love about them because we originally started this on Valentine's Day. And so I've kept it up because I've loved it so much. So I'm going to tell people a little bit about who you are because of the ways that I love what I see in you. So I love that you have such good friendships, Chika, that you show us how important it is, particularly in the single life, to have people who lead you to Christ and not the confessional, and that you do it so beautifully. I know you've got some beautiful friends in ministry and in your real life that really lift you up, and I see that you make them a priority because I know that that fills you. So I love seeing that about you. I love how you love your family. I know you were talking about being back home in Nigeria. I have never had the privilege of meeting your family, but I would, if they are as joyful as you are, I'm sure that they are amazing. I love how you listen. There was a moment in my life, Chika, that is forever ingrained in my heart. I was really struggling, and you texted and you're like, I'm happy to listen. And I have never had anyone listen to me like that before. And it was such a gift to me that someone prioritized that and that they meant it. And so I love that you mean what you say.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I am not always one to take affirmations well, but I remember a priest said, like, you don't like them because you think they're about you when really they're about God. So I receive all of this for the glory of God and say thank you.
Amen, sister. Well, we have a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you share with people what were you doing in Colombia? I think people might be interested, if at least if they were following you or they go back in some of your things and see it. Tell people what you were up to in Colombia.
I was living my best life, looking amazing. And here's the deal. I say that and people are like, dang, she's conceited. But no, my mom, my mom is so cute. She always like, Mama, you look good today. She's like, I know, as if I'd wear anything ugly. So in that regard, just Colombia did my heart so well. The food is amazing. We walked everywhere. So it was like, we're eating arepas all day long, but we're also walking everywhere. My spiritual life, like just a lot of prayer. Father Eronimo Espinoza is just a delight on this planet. So Mari Pablo is my best friend, one of my best friends. And every year we do a friendcation.
I love it.
So we've been to like Niagara Falls, we've been to Hawaii. And 2 years ago, Father reminded me of this. Allie Hoffman is a beautiful young adult in the Dallas area who has just her Instagram is Oodles of Doodles, or Allie Hoffman. She's also like recently been on Jimmy Fallon for dancing with her dad. So
yeah, everyone remembers saying they called her the Carrollton woman. She's in my phone as the Carrollton woman.
okay.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's so great. So she's having her prayer night at her house like 2 years ago. Went there with Madi, and Father Geronimo was there. And he was just like, one day I'm going to invite you to Colombia and you can like do this retreat with my people. And we're like, great. And it actually took place. So I went there. I did a retreat for for high schoolers, a confirmation retreat. I spoke in English. I did a little bit of Spanish, but not much. Then Mari also spoke to them. And then the rest of the time was just really being steeped into the culture and the community, his family, being able to pray, have mass every day, go to different churches and shrines. Just it was so amazing. And then I left to go to Idaho from Bogota, Colombia, to Boise, Idaho, to lead an amazing conference over there. And then Madi stayed on to do a conference in Colombia.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm sure that there was a lot of joy there. She speaks beautiful Spanish. I love that when you're speaking to her, she moves from English to Spanish so seamlessly. And I'm like, Madi, I only speak English.
Right.
Muy poquito in Espanol. So I love that y'all were able to minister to them. I bet it was beautiful. You know, Chika, I think a lot of people, you have like this radiant joy about you. It's the first thing that I noticed when I met you back in 2020. But I know that it doesn't mean that you have not lived without hard things, that you have not endured difficult seasons. So I think it might be helpful for people to hear, how do you maintain joy when you're going through something difficult?
Oof, that's a great question. I'll be honest, this January and most of February was probably like just another hard season, really difficult. Confronting pain, confronting, like a lot of times I like to just shove things aside and just move on. I don't process anything. I just move on to the next situation, the next, just whatever it may be. And I'm trying to learn how to sit and feel.
Mm.
And healing oftentimes is painful. Like I appreciate, a scab, you see it, like something's wounded and then it scabs over and you don't feel it. Like that's what I like. I like that kind of healing where it's just like quick, I don't have to do anything about it. It just happens. But these deeper ones, the ones that require surgery, and surgery is traumatic, those are the ones that I'm working through right now. And I did not feel joyful. And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with recognizing that although I feel that the Lord has blessed me with the charism of joy, there's a period of time, which you are very well aware of a few years ago, where I felt like I lost my joy. I allowed people to steal it from me. Mm. And to reclaim that, I had to go back into those situations, review them, sit with where I was even at fault and where others were at fault, bring that to the light for healing, and then allow the time to take its place. Whereas normally I like to just rush over it, time had to take its place. And then it was like, okay, God, like we can repair this. And, just a lot of hard conversations. So confronting the pain, that a lot of hard, difficult, lengthy conversations, journaling really helped. And then to recognize, I think this is really key, like, God, you were there. You were there in all of these areas. You did not leave me. You have not left me, and you will never leave me. I can find joy in God's faithfulness. 2 Timothy, I think it's 2. I really should figure this out. I think it's 2:13, but God is faithful even when we are unfaithful, because God cannot deny himself.
Oh,
The character is faithfulness. So in all of my hardships and moments where I'm not feeling joyful, God is still present and he's still God.
I'm going to have to add that to my list of scriptures to put on my favorite list. I like that. Well, I mean, it's not like it's not like he sends you into the tunnel and says, peace out, I'll see you on the other side.
Right.
But we forget that, Chika. I think that it's easy to see and feel him in the good stuff, but it's a comfort when you're going through something hard to be like, well, I'm not sitting here alone. I do have someone with me. How do you, Chika, what are some things that you look for? I know that you mentioned that you sort of have these great friendships with these people. How do you determine if you're going to invest in a friendship? Like, what are things that you look for in another person that you're like, I can trust this person,
Mm,
and this person is good for me? What do you look for whenever you're going through that?
gosh, I I have a good group of friends. I'll say this. Pittsburgh, I live in Pittsburgh, originally from Southern California, moved here 3 years ago, and community is hard.
Yes.
It has to do with, my lack of investing because I'm like, Pittsburgh's not California. Why will I make friends here? So there's a little bit of resistance from me. I have to be honest. That's one of those areas of honesty. But also, I travel often. And so, for example, gone for, gone for a month, back for a couple days, gone for 2 weeks, back for a couple days, gone for another 2 weeks, back for a couple days. I'll be gone on Saturday for another 2 weeks. And then, so my schedule is very insane. uh, but so community here is hard. So a lot of the people that I trust and I love so dearly are in other states, including my family. They're all back in California. That's been difficult to not have in-person physical community. Like, I was talking to someone, I'm like, man, I miss hugs. I miss,
Oh,
which has made me appreciate it more. Uh, but that being said, the people who I want to invest in, it's mutually life-giving. It's not just them pouring into me or me pouring into them. It really is this mutually life-giving friendship. I look for humor. Like, I want people that I can laugh and be silly with, people who are not judgmental. So I just, I want us to be able to have a good balance of, like, yes, there is a sense of judgment in the world. You have to judge actions and situations and things like that. But for the most part, are just like, they try to see the best in themselves and in others and in me. Um, do they know Jesus and love Jesus? Of course, I have many friends who are not Catholic, who are not Christian, and they love me well and I love them well. Those deeper relationships, I talk about Jesus all day long. So I need to be able to do that freely without feeling stifled. And it's helpful if they feel the same way. So those relationships that are Christ-centered are super helpful. Um, yeah. And then those who, gosh, are able to be honest with me and able to call me on to holiness. I think about my two best friends, Candace and Madi, and they're so beautiful because of their honesty, and honest to me, honest with themselves, about themselves, and to me about themselves, and all of that. So I'm just really grateful for honesty and friendship. Um, yeah,
well,
those are,
honesty promotes intimacy, and that's how we get to know Jesus. I mean, intimacy happens in a lot of ways, but I think in friendships it happens when we tell one another the truth, and then we trust someone to
yeah.
hold our truth, or to call us out and be like, I cannot believe that you did that. That is not like you. We need people to push us to be better, and those are some great traits to look for, because I think all of us, whether we're female or not, are really aching and striving for who are the people that I can trust in my life, and are we going to get to heaven together? And it's really hard, I think, to find your ride or die friend. Um, and some of us have many, and some of us, I'm finding the older I get, that circle gets smaller and smaller of people that I trust, because when you want to invest in someone, you can only give of yourself to so many people. So I think it's important to have good boundaries there too. So I want to chat a little bit about the social life, Chika, and the single life when you are, um, when you're looking to, I guess, find your place in the world. How, because I think sometimes people think, oh, well, you're only single until you find the man or the woman that you're going to get married to and start a family and move on. But there's some real fruit in the single life. And I'd really like for you to speak into that, because I know that many of the people that follow you, and probably many of the people that are watching, are in a season of single life, and it can be really beautiful, and it's not without its own challenges too. But I want you to speak into how you do it, and why it's so fruitful.
Yeah, I was talking to someone recently about this, about, there are people who choose to be single and people who do not choose to be single. So I do not choose this life. It has chosen me. But the beauty is that, gosh, I really do. There are times like I really do enjoy being single. Um, and it's just, there's like a freedom in it that I appreciate with like traveling and friendships. I can invest more in friendships. I can invest more in travel. I can invest more even in my nieces and nephews. Like I love those babies. They are mine. They are just this, like I literally call them my sweet deliciousness. Like I love everything about these kids. And in other relationships, I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning about,
That's good.
you know, and I don't want to say like in marriages like, oh, you can't travel and you can't have friendships. Like no, you do it so well. And
Sure.
with kids you travel and you do all these things, but there's a particular way that I believe that I'm able to do that as a single person. I'm learning a lot about myself, the abilities that I have. I mean, I for the longest time, and I think this is a little bit to do with Nigerian culture, like if I was in Nigeria until I'm married, like I live at home. I would live at home with my family and, you know, until my husband were to like sweep me off my feet and carry me away. But being able to live on my own and care for myself and like choose, I guess you use the word charities, but um, places to invest like my time, invest my finances. That to me is really important as well. Um, Gosh, there's a lot of joy in it, and I think it's hard. I want to reiterate that there are moments where it's so difficult. um I mean, it's difficult when like, man, just hormones get in the way. Praise you, Jesus. I appreciate that. But when you can't do much about it, it's like, sweet Lord, help me. So that's a difficulty. Or just like the loneliness can be a difficulty of like, I want to come back here into my apartment and be able to share with someone, you know, about my day and have that reciprocated. So there are those moments that really are difficult, but I think because I have a great group of friends, um, because like God and I are really in a relationship as well. It's it's not always like, there are times where it's painful, but it's not always painful. And I think about the times where I feel the loneliest and I have to do, you know, my self inventory of why. It's usually because I'm not praying, or I've
Mm.
let prayer slide. I've let my relationship with Jesus slide. So I'm very much, you know, like, okay, aware of that. And that's for me. Not everyone is like that.
Sure.
Like people may have a great prayer life and they still feel lonely, but particularly for me, when I feel the loneliest, it's because, yeah, I haven't been praying or taking the time to like go on dates with Jesus. Yeah. And I know that sounds kind of like, I still do this and people are like, that's really cheesy. Well, that's not for you then.
That's right.
Um,
This is for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There are times where like I need to go out and I need to like be romanced. And I talk about this a lot because it's so true when it comes to appreciating God, is that, man, Jesus, I really want a guy to buy me flowers. And he's like, hey, yo, I made those flowers. So even if he buys them, like I'm the one who created them. Or I cry at sunrises and sunsets because it's like, Jesus, you like, you painted this beautiful scenery. Sorry, I keep staring out my window because I haven't been back home in a couple of days, and I'm like, oh, the trees are starting to fill in and the grass is green. So that means hopefully the cold is gone and we're
I'm
getting in.
hoping for y'all because it's definitely gone here
Woo!
in Texas.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, like I see just the beauty outside and I'm like, God, you created just such beautiful things for my eyes to see, the breeze to like caress my skin, all those things that like, all those moments of intimacy that I desire with someone else. Like God's like, I'm able to provide that for you if you allow me to, and if you take note of it.
Right.
But if I always like stupid breeze, I don't want you, or darn trees haven't filled in, you know, and then I miss all of it. I miss what God is doing and how I can be romanced by it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for reminding us not to to waste away these seasons of life that we have. And this, I would argue that there's some people who are in committed relationships who also feel lonely. So that's I think a trait that many people feel. And I think, Chika, your reminder to remember who made you, remember to have this conversation. And it does open your eyes to how he loves us. A priest reminded us of this the other day. He said, like God is relentlessly pursuing you at all times. And we forget, we get busy, we get lonely, we get overwhelmed, and we forget how relentlessly he pursues us. And I think when you can start to get into the habit, the virtue of having a conversation with him, then you start to remind yourself of his constant presence and that relentless pursuit of you. That I think is a good reminder during the Lenten season. Oh my gosh, I have a million questions for you, and I'm looking at the time, and I know we should wrap it up. Okay, so one last question. If you could give Chika one piece of advice to someone who we are more than halfway through Lent, who maybe wants to redirect their Lent, maybe give it more intentionality or more purpose. Maybe they feel like they've fallen off the wagon and they feel like, I don't want to give up, but I don't know what to do. What would be your encouragement to them?
Oh, just begin again. God's not counting the wasted space, the wasted days. He's not. And this is something that I think I'm currently having to remind myself again and again, is the again part. I think it's Fulton Sheen that talks about that, God, he makes the sun rise. It's almost like a child, like either playing peekaboo or something. And it's like, again, like they just love it. And God is, I don't know if I can say that God is childlike, but in that again, he will forgive you again. He will love you again. The sun will rise again. So while we are here fretting over all of this, he's just like, again, come to me again. I'm here again. Like he doesn't tire of that. And I remember being in confession and this priest kept saying like, God loves you. And at first I was like, I know. He's like, God loves you. I'm like, I know. And then he kept saying it. And I'm like, okay, I know. And I had to hear that. So yes, we are called to reform. We're called to repentance. We're called to be better. And if your heart is like, I've missed more than half of Lent, again, just don't wait. Just get up and do it again. And if you fall, do it again. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I've always heard the begin again, but I think I've always focused on the beginning part. I've never focused on the again part. There's no coincidence that I'm sitting actually in a church parking lot. Like St. Joseph is the church that I'm sitting in front of, and I just keep thinking, man, you talk about someone who just kept beginning again and again. I love the reminder, the again part. I think we all needed to hear that. Okay, if people love you as much as I do, which surely after this conversation they do, where can they find you, learn more about you? And if you obviously are in like a youth ministry office or any young adult office, you should be calling Chika to come speak. She's an amazing speaker. So I'll put that plug in there for you. But yeah, where can people find you?
You can find me at chika.church, chika.church. I love to pray for you. So the first page is just a prayer request. And if, yes, you want to do any sort of booking, you're more than welcome to do that there. You can also purchase my book on prayer, and that's at lifeteen.com. It's just a tiny little prayer book that fits in your pocket. I just love that. And then, of course, on Instagram. I don't always check my DMs. I actually rarely check my DMs. So just contact at chika.church is my email. And I would love to just, chat there.
You're amazing, Chika. I hope that you have a beautiful last few weeks of Lent. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm glad that we could work it in before you depart again. But you're a beautiful person. I love being able to call you a friend.
Right back at you, Kathryn. I love you dearly. I really appreciate our friendship.
You're amazing. All right. Well, we love all of y'all. So I hope that gave you some encouragement today. Chika, go have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
All right. Bye, y'all.